He's got the anxiety of involving his family in this. He's got his own anxieties about what the result's going to be, what the future might hold, as much as you maybe don't want to think about it till you need to. Well, I know I would be. I'd be tuning.
Nice and slowly, make sure everything's coming with us.
Before the test, there was a little bit of apprehension. I was always going to do it, but I guess once you actually get in the machine and then you know that your brain has been scanned, you get a bit nervous. I am privileged as a journalist to be getting this scan, but part of the conditions are that another radiologist will have to analyse the images.
Mike is going in as one of our healthy volunteers, so he will be getting quite a comprehensive scan where we're going to be testing a whole lot of different aspects of the brain. So he'll be in there watching TV for 40 minutes while we gather all this data.
When we came out of the scan, I was wondering what it was like, and I was looking at people's faces to see if they were okay, because if they were okay, I was figuring I was. Where's the, I don't know where the cauliflower is. I'm going to get a Lebanese cucumber. It's just like a nice little cucumber, nice round edges on it, ends on it. My work is always a topic of conversation with my family. I remember Aria was just sitting on my knee watching me edit once, and she just goes, "Why do you always just do sad stories?" The girls know about me getting the brain scan.
I was quite worried. If he was going to get dementia, I wouldn't have wanted to know. I'd look after my dad if he had dementia.
Really?
Probably.
You know that would mean that you would have to feed me, bathe me,
Dress him.
take me to the toilet. Do you want to do that?
I mean, maybe after about 5 years, I think it's a long time, I think.
Given Mike's dad was diagnosed with dementia, how worried were you when Mike decided to take a test?
If it's going to happen, it would be beneficial to know now. I imagine some people would be quite fearful of knowing, but I saw it as allowing us to look at what we want to achieve with our children and being able to reschedule those timetables if there was a warning sign.
Early detection is really critically important. Critically important first to say whether or not this person has a problem or not. In the cases that clearly do, then they are often relieved. They've finally got a label for it. Knowing what's going on in your mind is actually very important for your peace of mind and for giving you hope.
So for me, in getting the brain scan, that's early detection. If you get to know that you've got Alzheimer's early, you possibly might be able to do something about it.
We're now in a position where we can see the beginning of a blood test that can be used for screening and for monitoring progress of the illness.
So why we contacted Professor Masters was because we knew he'd been part of a team that is developing a blood test for amyloids, and that's that plaque that builds up in your brain if you have Alzheimer's.
We can see the first changes in people in their mid to late 40s, but they don't express the disease clinically until their 70s. So in other words, there's a 20 to 30 year gap. So what we're doing now is designing clinical studies to actually prevent the onset of the disease by intervening before the onset of cognitive decline.
The second thing he told us about was the drugs that are in development. They're not necessarily the cure, but what they will do is inhibit the progression of the disease.
I'm very confident that one or maybe all of these drugs will be given approval. And once they become available, then these blood tests will be essential for identifying people who can benefit from interventions of this nature.
If that was an issue, there's a bit of hope for me in the future because I know that these drugs are in development. Yeah. And I'm only 48, so that's young enough to actually, get benefit from it.
This is not an old person's disease.
This is not even a health priority for our government. Alzheimer's New Zealand have been trying repeatedly, year after year, to just list us as a problem. They haven't done that.
Too many people think this is just an inevitable part of ageing, and it's not.
For the whole population, it's a huge challenge. We've got a lot to do.
We know that people can get dementia in their 40s, 50s and early 60s. It can happen to people under the age of 65. No one is immune from this condition.
Hey, come on through.
Cheers.
This is your data here.
And I've thought about the consequences of actually what this test means.
I guess the first thing we'd look at, if someone had any issues with function, is there some tumour or growth that's shifting things around?
On one hand, it could be that I find out something that's pretty negative. And on the other hand, I could find out something that's going to help me plan for the future.
But this would be looking for it's more specific for anything in the white matter itself, like little strokes or old injury or MS.
Yeah, I'm totally worried about the possibility of me having dementia in the future. Everyone should be.
I can't say categorically that all your values are normal, but there's nothing on here that makes me suspicious that you've lost any volume. So in a nutshell, that's a very normal looking brain.
It's good to know.
Which is good.
So I should be okay.
But actually, I can't tell you you're going to be okay, but I can say I haven't seen anything that bothers me.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a healthy looking brain, but it's really clear to me this is a snapshot at 48.
I hope he's fine. I wouldn't really want to have to look after him when he's older.
Obviously, there's relief that it's a good outcome.
So what I hope people take from this project is that they get a real insight into dementia. We just really hope that people get to understand the impacts that dementia can have on families.
The advice I would give to anyone who's going through what our family has gone through is to get help. Upskill yourself on the conditions of the illness, understand how it manifests itself. When you can understand the behaviour, you can manage it better.
We can talk about dementia and Alzheimer's, but actually seeing it and sort of feeling it is something special. So, getting into Warwick's house and how he deals with Pummy.
I said, listen, love, you've looked after me for 54 years. Now it's my turn to look after you.
Going into Rita's home.
People shouldn't be scared of it, eh? Don't be scared of it. They're just normal people trying to live normal lives.
In my story, I did things wrong. I did it wrong with my dad. And I hope people can learn from that.
We've got to treat people with humanity, and treating them with humanity and love and respect is the most wonderful treatment you can give a person with dementia. And just accept them for who they are.
See the person, not the condition.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.